Little changes can often go a long way. That's something I often have to remind myself when it comes to playing music, composing it, and recording it. And tempo and dynamics are two aspects of music that are not at all exempt from that concept. So because tempo and dynamics are so important in music and making it what it is, I thought I'd go a little bit more in depth to explain what it is, what it looks like in music, and give you some musical examples I recorded so you can hear what they sound like. Alright, let's start this off by talking about tempo. So in case you're unfamiliar, tempo is just the musical term used to describe how fast or slow a piece of music is. I also think that the tempo of a piece of music is the main contributor to what the energy levels in that piece of music feel like. Slower tempo usually conveys a lower energy with the music, and a faster tempo usually conveys higher energy with the music. Now I'm going to teach you some Italian musical terms. Now there are a lot of these terms out there to describe the different tempos that music has, but I think I'm just going to hit the three main ones that you're most likely to see and hear. First, we have andante. Andante means slower tempo. Moderato means medium tempo, and allegro means fast tempo. Now I recorded a song here that shifts between different tempos throughout it. See if you can kind of feel the energy levels of the song shift as the tempo changes throughout the song too. Now let's focus on dynamics. Dynamics is just the musical term used to describe how soft or loud a piece of music is. Now while tempo usually relates to the level of energy a piece of music has, dynamics usually relates to the motion or engagement that the music makes the listener have. Now get ready for some more Italian musical vocabulary. Again, I'm not going to go over every single type of one that there is, but I'm going to give you the main basics that you're going to hear and see a lot. Let's start with piano. Not the instrument piano, but a dynamic marking. It's called piano. Piano means soft. Next we have forte, and forte means loud. Next we have what are called mezzo piano and mezzo forte, and they kind of go in between piano and forte. Mezzo piano is louder than piano, but not quite as loud as mezzo forte, and mezzo forte is softer than forte, but louder than mezzo piano. And while these dynamic markings are what they look like completely spelled out, oftentimes when you see them in music, they're not going to be spelled out like this. Instead, they're going to look like these over here. Okay, here's another quick little note about dynamics in music. Now, dynamics don't always abruptly change from one dynamic to another. Sometimes it's a gradual change. Now, if music gradually changes from a softer dynamic to a louder dynamic, that's called a crescendo. And a crescendo will look like this in music. And if music's going from a louder dynamic to a softer dynamic, that's called a decrescendo. And it's going to end up looking like this. So we touched on tempo, we touched on dynamics, and you got to hear examples of them and see what they looked like in music. But I've thought about it just a little bit more, and I think I've come to a deeper understanding of why exactly tempo and dynamics are so fundamental in making music what it is exactly. Let's flip it around and talk about dynamics first for a second. Think about it. When you hear a song for the first time, when that first note is played, or when that first pitch is sung, you by default have to hear a dynamic of some sort. I mean, the song will progress from there and will determine if whether or not that initial dynamic you heard was a softer dynamic or a louder dynamic, but you have to have heard a dynamic to begin with. And the same type idea applies to tempo as well. This is especially true if there's more than one person performing something. In order for both performers to have some coherent understanding of where they are in the music and how to stay together, there has to be some sort of structured rhythm. And that rhythm is based around a tempo that all the musicians involved are playing at. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is, if you hear any sort of music at all, as soon as you hear the first instance of it, when it comes to tempo and dynamics, you have to hear both of them. You have to, in order for the music to make sense for the people performing it and for the listener. So it's no wonder that all you have to do is change one of those two things just a little bit and the music alters so much. They're that integral to making the music what it is. So that's pretty much all I got when it comes to talking about tempo and dynamics and what I've observed about it over the years of playing music. And I'm curious, let me know in the comments, do you tend to like hearing dynamic changes in music more or tempo changes in music more? Or maybe both? And be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because after having this revelation, if you will, about understanding the importance of tempo and dynamics in music, I think I'm going to experiment with it a lot more in my future music projects. Hope you guys have a great day. Hope you hear some great music, and pay a little bit more attention to tempo and dynamics in the music you listen to. Could be why you love it so much. Alright, time to head inside. It's a bit cold out here.